You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
If you think you've heard everything the libertarian world has to offer, you've got another thing coming. Enemy of My Enemy is a fast-paced podcast that brings hyper-intelligent and qualified libertarians from the left, right, and center together to debate and discuss current events and the hottest topics. Don't settle for slow-paced, predictable shows filled with the same philosophy you've already heard before. Tune into Enemy of My Enemy for something fresh and educational. I look forward to seeing you there.
Our goal at the Chris Spangle Show is to help you sound smarter while talking with your friends. If you struggle to understand politics, we explain it from an independent libertarian perspective with all of the irreverence modern politics deserves. We toss out the screaming heads and put people before political parties and give context to the news to make you think. I'm the host. I'm a 15-year veteran of politics and media, and this show is published every Saturday. It's part of the We Are Libertarians network, and be sure to join Wall Plus for bonus podcasts, the complete archives, commercial-free shows, and more. Subscribe now at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 199 of East Centralia's favorite podcast. Jeremiah Morrell here today, joined by co-host Jesse Riddle, producer Zach Burcham, special returning guests, County Councilwoman Susan Huhn, County Councilwoman Betsy Mills, sixth time returning, she reminded me. Checks in the mail, Betsy. Woo. And returning guest, but first time, I think, as a county commissioner now.
Absolutely.
Bobbi Plummer. What are we talking about, Equate Dakota?
Yeah, so I'm going to try to do Dakota's job here. We're going to talk about the IRS stimulus arriving, the House Bill 1381, Henry County's solar ordinance, Henry County AV in the courthouse. It's been like 6 years. Henry County new shell building. That's been like 10 years. County adding a chaplain. I don't even know what that is. And returning to normal. And then Betsy's got a busy week coming up.
That's right. Word is, this is like 3 out of the next 4 days. I'm going to see Betsy. It's going to be awesome. Or 3 out of the next 5, something like that. This show's about our lives in rural Indiana. We're to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. Producer Zach, we just did a 15-minute story on why every time I go somewhere, it costs me $1,400.
Yeah, I'm better you than me. Good do some Patreon thank yous for the people that pay the bills. If you're in the chat already, Andrew Bowman, Overachieving, is already got all the T-Chip links up in there. If you don't want to be a Patreon member, we love Patreon members because they keep the building warm and cozy in the wintertime and cool in the summertime. And if you can donate any amount, they suggest $5. And I think Mason is the one that like throws a penny by every time he drives by on his way to his job.
I think he gives us his Aldi quarter once a week, basically. That's what happens.
Yeah. Although I saw some fun jokes about people got their stimulus, like, I just left my Aldi cart in the parking lot. I don't need that.
I've got that kind of money. I don't have to return my cart at Aldi anymore.
Yeah, I just leave that. I just leave the cart there. But if you contribute $50 or more a month, we thank you every episode because you're awesome. And so we got to thank Chris Lamb, Christy Avery, who was, jolly on the spot in the video today. Before we even had the sound going, and then Jonathan Phillips, and then I'm not sure if Mr. Bowman shared the link for Anthony Meyer's GoFundMe, but he's out there hauling stuff around, keeping America running during this pandemic.
He's a truck driver trying to go independent because he does not like working that corporate life. So we're trying to help him out. Check out the T-Chip store. I have been refreshing that IRS Where's My Money page, and it's like new phone who dis from the IRS. I've paid taxes for like 20 years, and they know who I am, but I log in, and they're like, yeah, we need more information. We don't know who the hell you are.
What's the percentage of people involved in the Boss Hog or in the the Chris Spangle network that have had their stimulus checks held up?
It is
because Spangle's
ironic how many of us have had, and on this little wall network have had troubles. The first one flowed through no trouble whatsoever. Came in, First day, got it. My wife and I, good to go. Second one, it took them quite a while to admit that I was a citizen. And then I got a live check, and it was mailed the day of the insurrection at the Capitol. And I'm like, oh my God, they mailed this from Washington, D.C. as they're getting ready to burn the city down. I'm never going to get it. And then at this time, everybody's like, hey, yeah, it's, some people said they got it on Saturday. Everybody's like,
I got mine yesterday.
The bank website kept saying, yeah, St. Patrick's Day, you're going to get it. It'll come in. You're great. I keep checking and nothing.
I think the people I felt most sorry for, some people saw it on like Saturday, but then their bank said, you're not actually going to get it till like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Ours posted Saturday as pending, and it's still not.
It's still saying there. Like, I'm like, oh, that would be, I mean, like, I just was like, the website said Wednesday. It hit on Wednesday. And so somebody pointed out that's a great day for St. Patrick's Day. People are heading back out to the bars for the first time.
$1,400. Around for the bar.
Everything's $1,400. Go see that Patreon.
People are going to need a lot of livers.
Yeah, we were over the weekend. We had some chilly nights, so we were camping and we watched some Ron White on the Netflix, I think, and he was making jokes about how at this point his ID card just mentions the organs he needs to have replaced or whatever.
He's not a donor. He's recipient.
Yeah, he's just on the list of stuff he'd like to have a fresh start with.
That's great. Probably a liver for him.
Yeah. So I don't know. Stay tuned. Apparently the IRS website, it's you refresh it every day. Don't bother going back 3 times a day because they only check it once every so often. But and then for me, it was like the most vague thing ever. It's like, you're either not going to get it at all, or we just haven't got to you yet. So they give you the same message, and it's either a denial or, yeah, you're getting it. You're fine. I haven't filed my taxes since last time, and I got it the last 2 times. So I know I'm not in that category of you shouldn't get it. I'm just ignored. Or I don't know. Whatever. I just voted wrong, apparently. So, or I speak too much. I don't know. One of those. Maybe we're being profiled on the Wall Network. I was reminded today that I guess our dear leader on the Weird Libertarians Network, Spangle, has he's on a 1 week timeout from Facebook too. So, whatever. It's the censorship has been real. Yeah. It's the deplatforming censorship. Whatever. I've played nice. I've never been banned. I've never been put in timeout. I've never bullied anybody. I'm knocking on the table because it'll probably happen tonight. Do
you plan on bullying these people? Or some people in line?
Bullying? No, it's just stuff happens.
We said it probably happened tonight.
Sometimes they go back on stuff that you posted.
Yeah, I could have said something offensive like 6 years ago.
My brother
got now retroactively.
I've already deleted all that stuff.
Well, I don't have that.
Yeah, my brother got it for a meme he shared like 2 years ago, and he got it and it was like 2 years after the fact. He's like, "What happened?" And it was, it was a tasteless meme, but offensive. I don't know.
See, that's why you only post about your dog, or you like coffee, or stuff like that.
Or you just abandon Facebook.
Or you just abandon Facebook.
And Susan's off Facebook, so we had to go old school texting. I had like a phone tree to get Susan on today, but it worked out. Can you turn her up just a touch for me, Zach?
Yeah.
We've got. We'll try to make it work.
Sorry,
it's all good. Hey, that one sounded good.
Well, she's so soft spoken.
I know.
Not to say that Betsy and I are not soft spoken.
No one has ever heard me raise my voice before. Use my mom voice
with your gavel. You know how to use the gavel. It's inspiring.
We're gonna have to have the president. So Susan is the president of the Henry County Council. We got to have you using your president's voice.
Yes, I will try to do that.
All right,
perfect.
So it's a good segue in. So I think all 3 of you have been very involved in Henry County's efforts in being involved in legislation that's been flowing through the General Assembly. There's what's known as House Bill 1381, which deals with home rule, but specifically in relation to zoning of wind or industrial wind and industrial solar. And to paint the groundwork, the state of Indiana has said that the zoning and regulation of those installations is governed at the county level through planning commissions and ordinances that are controlled by the county commissioners. Over the last 5 or 6 years, it's been a major conversation and something we've talked about through the entire existence of the Boss Hog Liberty podcast, and we followed the story. State Representative Ed Soliday filed a bill at the beginning of this session that went through committee in the House, was passed by the House of Representatives, and now is getting ready to transition over to the Senate. I know Susan has testified, and I don't. Betsy and Bobbi both also got to testify.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was over a period of a couple of weeks because there were some time management issues with the COVID and committees and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I believe Susan was the first one to get to speak.
Yes, I signed up to speak before I went to bed.
Okay.
1 or 2 in the morning. Ended up first in line, so I got to speak. For the first hearing.
So help paint the picture for us as to where things are at in the process, what this bill means to communities like Henry County, and what the outlook is, and what you're trying to accomplish from here.
Can we talk about like what home rule is first?
Yeah,
because I think it's kind of confusing. I've had to learn a lot about it. So home rule was actually established in our state in 1980, and it runs under the principle that the federal government should conduct the business that exists in the national constitution. Indiana should do its business as a state based on what's in the state constitution. Everything else falls to local government. And so since the state legislature passed that we would be a state of home rule, they have steadily chipped away at it over the years in a million different directions. And there's another bill that actually Representative Soliday this year, I think it's 1164.
Yep, 1164.
And it also attacks home rule by it creates state level regulation on cell towers and utility matters. And it removes local decision making. So I think we all have opinions about wind and solar, but more than anything, I think we all agree that local decision making is better decision making. We can make better decisions for ourselves than Indianapolis can for us, or Washington, D.C. can for
a one size fits all doesn't work, whether it's wind or solar or Boar's Head or Walmart or puppies and kittens, or you can replace wind and solar, those two words, with anything, and it's a bad bill.
We had discussion months ago about the use of 5G towers.
Right.
And I didn't realize at that time that had actually already been taken out of the control of local government. Did you already know at that time that had been done? Because I didn't know till you told me when we were talking about 1381.
I did know that it had been taken.
That.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would have been testifying for that bill too if I had known it was happening. A lot of times we don't even know what the state's trying to do.
So the Soliday argument or the reasoning for this being offered, I assume, follows the same logic of the federal government controlling or be influencing interstate commerce. So if somebody's trying to do business between Indiana and Ohio or Indiana and Illinois, the federal government would be involved in that. So I assume this is if somebody's trying to build a project in multiple counties that they don't have to navigate 3 or 4 or 5 different counties.
Well, go ahead. Well, there's 32 or 34. I've heard different numbers. There's 32 or 34 counties that have some sort of ordinance or moratorium restricting wind or solar or both. And he has made the statement that these counties need to, we need to have wind and solar because corporations say that they want renewables and they won't come in without it. But what they're wanting to do is tell Henry County.
You also have policy from the state that says, hey, NIPSCO or Duke or whoever, you have to buy 10% of renewable.
Correct.
So then they're saying, well, we have to put it somewhere.
Correct. But what they're wanting to do is, for example, I'll just use Henry County. We're going to make Henry County full of solar or wind to increase the economic development of Hamilton County or Lake County. So they are squashing our economic development to prop up another county's economic development.
It was really interesting and illuminating to watch. All of us were there the first day that it was introduced, and that was the day you got to speak. And Chairman Soliday spoke about the rationale for the bill, and she just did a really good job of describing it, that it's supposed to be for economic development, that supposedly we are losing economic development from companies who are mad we don't have enough wind or solar, even though we're 12th in the country with regards to wind power production. He wrote this bill only consulting the renewable industry. He talked to wind companies and solar companies, and it shows this bill is a love letter to that industry. And it's consulted no elected officials. It's consulted nobody who has a different opinion. All the people who spoke in favor of it at the State House, the 2 days we were there, were either lobbyists or people that stood to benefit financially, whereas the other side was all elected officials and average citizens, which I think really says a lot.
It's been an interesting evolution because wind companies have tried to come into Indiana for quite some time, and they've complained now that they started to come in and then they were pushed out. But where we stand right now, they're complaining that there's ambiguity. There's actually not ambiguity now. We are at a point where there's no ambiguity, or not much ambiguity. Local governments have decided they don't want, and
30% of counties have said don't come.
So there's no ambiguity. They have their answer. They need to look elsewhere.
Well, it's not even don't come. It's
or come under the safe ordinances we've now created.
Right. We're
Randolph County obviously has wind turbines.
They're actively building them.
They have decided that is a good fit for that county. They decided that.
So wind companies are saying we don't want ambiguity, but that's just what they're saying out loud. What they really want is a forced foot in.
Yes.
Because there's really not ambiguity anymore.
So Benton County, I assume Warren County, White County, Randolph County have been accepting or encouraging.
Yeah.
But communities like Henry County or Montgomery County have said no.
Right. Delaware, Wayne.
Or it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
You're going to have to
abide by tougher rules.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't come in, but your setbacks are going to have to be different.
Right.
Or,
well, the setback for Henry County,
the setback
you can't find a place to make it work.
Correct.
For setbacks that are in the new ordinance, the current ordinance.
You are correct in that, but
So how has the conversation been going? Obviously, it's passed the House, but that's only the halfway point. So it still would have to get through the Senate and then get a governor's signature or go back through everybody's approval. How has the conversation been? How have you been received in your testimonies to the House? And I assume you'll be testifying on the Senate side as well.
Well, I mean, they've been polite. OLF say they've been cordial.
I felt like they were unwelcoming while I was speaking. I saw some eyes rolling, and
they hassled you.
They did hassle her.
They don't want to be told that what they're doing is hypocritical because they told us a few years ago they had nothing to do with this. Go take care of it yourselves. Go
deal with it.
No one likes to be told they're wrong, which is what we're seeing they're doing. You're out of your lane. You told us yourself you're out of your lane doing this, and we're going to do it anyways. So I don't think they want to be called to the carpet on that.
So looking forward to the Senate side, are you optimistic that the bill is going to be defeated, or do you have a feel yet, I guess?
It's hard to say.
I assume there's going to be a call to action for citizens to contact Mike Gaskell.
There has been a long that is happening and has been happening. 8 weeks?
Yeah,
6-8 weeks.
Well, and a little bit of context I think is really important. That this has been, I think, a watershed moment for a lot of people around the state. And there's actually a group that has been created to address this idea of home rule being eroded by the state over and over and over. And I'm going to give them a plug. They're actually called Hoosiers for Home Rule. They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter. And they have a website. It's a 501c4. And essentially, I think we've all been slightly active in it. And it's people from all around the state. It's nonpartisan. There are Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians. I think people who don't even identify with a party, but they all recognize that this erosion of home rule in Indiana is really, really dangerous. And so today it's wind and solar, or the 1164 bill has to do with regulation of utilities. But, seizing control from local government is really, really scary. So I think we're really seeing momentum build up. This was the very last bill in the State House to be assigned this session.
To get a second part of the session.
Yeah. And I think that says something.
Is it in the Energy Committee or
Utilities?
Utilities.
We didn't know if it would even be assigned or if they were going to try to slip it in somewhere else. You have to, even looking at the groups who oppose this, the Association of Indiana Counties, which is a huge lobbying group. We're all members. This is the lobbying group that represents local officials. I mean, that's their only purpose. Farm Bureau has come out against this bill, which is fascinating. They're not anti-renewable by any sense, but they are pro-local decision-making because they understand it with regards to agriculture. So this bill, there's other groups too, Association of County Commissioners.
Indiana Association of County Commissioners.
Yeah. Because the home rule concept is important. For agriculture, it's the right to farm conversation. There are other things. There are a lot of aspects to home rule that are controlled, and this bill potentially, even though it's targeted towards these two installations,
it's a very slippery slope.
It could crack the door open.
That's
What's
a very
the
dangerous
next
precedent.
It is, and here's the interesting thing about the 1164 bill, where it's going for cell towers. Interesting enough, people in the House that voted for 1381 to take away home rule for that. Several of them, I don't know how many, voted against 1164.
Really?
Yep, because Hamilton County, I don't.
Because it affected them.
It affected them. It affected them. It didn't. The 1381 didn't affect their county,
So I guess
Hamilton
it
County,
depends,
or what?
for if when someone's really affected, they stop and think, do I really want local control not to apply here?
Correct.
And we should all stand up together and say, no matter whether we're impacted right now or not, this is where.
So I'm against 1381, against 1164.
On principle.
On principle.
Yes.
Yes.
And as local elected officials, I think we get that. Like I didn't used to think that way before, but now being in that position, I feel like it's our duty to be fighting to protect our local decision making for the future, no matter what the topic is. Like you said before, this is a bad bill, no matter what.
No matter what.
Strip the language, throw in anything. It's a bad bill. But really, we need to.
We're going to put ice cream shops on every corner, and you must put them here. Bad bill.
Bad bill.
So let's talk about the solar side. Henry County has had a very much a long ongoing conversation about wind. There's an ordinance in place that makes it essentially impossible to add any more industrial wind in the county, with the exception of the one we'll call it educational one in
Shenandoah.
It's Shenandoah.
The baby,
yeah, the little one. The demo model. The county has two solar projects that are potentially coming. My understanding is that in 2020 there was not an ordinance dealing with solar. So there's a project called the Bellflower Solar Project that was proposed and got a commission approved use through the Planning Commission last fall. And then after that was approved, essentially giving that project the green light to go ahead and get built in the southern part of the county, Henry County said, the commissioners at the time said, now we're going to put a moratorium in. There will be no future development until a solar ordinance is in place.
Correct.
The Planning Commission then worked on a solar ordinance that got to December of 2020, and the Planning Commission said, hey, do you want to move forward or not? The commissioners said they took no action. I believe in January, the commissioners actually said no and started the process over.
No. Well, yes and no. In December, the commissioners voted to reject the solar ordinance. And then in January, it gets a little confusing with how this works. So they rejected the solar ordinance. So then the commissioners had to write a letter, explain why did you reject, what. So that letter went out in January. That goes to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission could have either accepted the commissioner's rejection, rejected the commissioner's rejection, or do nothing.
You serve on both now.
I do serve on both now.
You are the county commissioner's representative to the Planning Commission. So I should clarify that to the audience as well. So many hats.
Yeah, so many hats. So that's what went before the Planning Commission in January. So the Planning Commission voted, and there was some ha-ha-ha's about it. I mean, it was voted to, instead of do any of those things, because they had 45 days to act, to write a letter back to the commissioners. They made a motion to have the attorney write a letter back to the commissioners wanting more information, which I was like, I think I'll abstain from voting on this because since I'm going to get the letter, Okay. And they were like, ha, ha, ha. It was kind of funny. And so the letter went back. Another response was given. Then it went back to the Planning Commission in February. And again, they could accept the rejection, reject the rejection, or do nothing. They rejected the rejection. It goes back to the commissioners. We could
take any one of the
accept the rejection or do nothing. Or we could reject the rejection or do nothing. So it was rejected. And at the last meeting, we introduced the original solar ordinance and a modified version that was put into record that was written by 3 citizens. And then we independently discussed what we would like to see changed in the original solar ordinance.
So I want to take the temperature, I guess.
That's all kind of confusing.
Yeah,
I understand
of the elected officials that are here, and Jesse and Zach, anybody that's in the room. I know that wind is an absolute non-starter for the community. is solar heading in the same direction, or do you think
No.
that there's going to be an ordinance where you're going to see some of the larger? We've got two large projects that are potentially coming. One, it sounds like it's 85% there, and the other one is out ominously there.
Bellflower is
Bellflower is coming.
yeah, Bellflower is coming.
But this Next Era project, I guess, is the other. Is that the name of the developer?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do we have the expectation that Henry County is going to be set up to be able to bring some of these investments in?
I believe that there will be some solar. It's just trying to figure out, do we want to have 176,000 acres of farm ground turned into solar panels? Or, it's finding that balance.
So Bellflower was set up with property value.
With property value guarantees, yes.
And I have not been very involved in it at all. But is that something that looks like it's going to?
Yeah, property value guarantees will. I personally don't see that a solar ordinance would pass without property value guarantees.
And the property value guarantee essentially comes in and says, "Hey, Mr. Landowner that lives next to me, we both agree to have your house appraised, and we say right now before we build this project, it's worth $100,000. We're going to say that an established point in time, your house is still going to be worth that, or else we're going to make you good for it."
Correct.
So 6 months, a year from now, whatever
right.
that number
What?
is.
They're a non-participating landowner. Oh my gosh, I just can't stand it or whatever. And then they will make it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
They'll either buy,
make them happy.
they'll make them happy.
So I would think that the more densely populated an area is, the more
Susan,
company.
can you-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Use your mom voice, Susan.
I would think that the more densely populated area that a company's trying to get into, the harder that would be, because it's going to be more expensive potentially.
Exactly. And the Bellflower project, I believe that there's only about 12 properties in the Henry County area.
Right. It was
and that
a very
project
low populated
is
area.
Rush County and
Rush
Henry
County
County.
and Henry
Right.
County, yes.
Catches both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
catches
east of
both.
Dunreath in
Yeah.
the south.
And there's not, there's only about 12 homeowners, and many of the landowners in that area are actually lease signers.
It was a low impact for
It was a low impact for
participating people.
Well, and if it comes in the right way, I mean, for me, wind and solar are very, very different in my mind with regards to how it impacts the community. But for me, it's about your home is, for most of us, it's your greatest investment. And so if we're putting a massive project in somebody's neighborhood, we've got to make sure we're not setting up a David and Goliath situation where someone's greatest investment is severely impacted, or they're boxed in on 3 or 4 sides with solar, panels all around them.
Because in Madison County, there are homes with that project that are surrounded on 3 sides. There are properties that are surrounded.
Did Madison County have an ordinance in place that you're looking at for yours?
Well, I have looked at some of theirs. I believe that their original setbacks were only 50 feet, and they've recently changed their setbacks to 500 feet.
Okay.
After that
That's interesting.
project came online.
Is that 500 feet from the property line?
From property line.
Okay.
500 feet from property line, from a non-participating. And of course, all of these things are waivable by the non-participant. If they want to waive property value guarantees, they can. They want to waive a setback, they can. And I think every ordinance has that ability to the non-participating property owner.
I've been wearing Councilwoman Mills out about my property taxes.
Yeah.
Because, and I think I'm glad to hear that there's some opportunities for investment to come in.
Absolutely.
From 2015 until the current year, my property taxes on my house, my value's not gone up. I actually got to go meet with the county assessor this week and had this conversation with her as well. But my property taxes have gone up 83% since 2015. What I'm
You're
actually
living
paying,
in the wrong area.
I'm living in Henry Township.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
living.
that hasn't
it's
happened to me.
That hasn't happened to me either.
No.
My property taxes.
They don't like you. The IRS doesn't like you.
It's just I at some point I'm going to think the county council doesn't not liking me because the rate has gone up. My assessed value has gone up just a touch, and then I also pay I pay township taxes as well. And I know that we've had some increase in the township level taxes in Henry Township, and I think Spiceland has also experienced similar issues.
Spiceland makes more sense, but To some degree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
just more development.
There's various
there is
issues
more
and things that happen. And this is entirely ignoring the fact that my water bill since I bought the house has gone from $30 a month to $100 a month thanks to the White Estate sewer project that's in. Yeah. But
Yes.
I look around at my neighbors.
Since you've doxed yourself, that's also why you're getting.
Well, yeah, it's
rates.
fine. I listen. I'll take the arrows, man. It's okay. But looking around at my neighbors as well, I've got a next door neighbor who's same story. She's we'll say 80, 85 years old, and her taxes have gone up even more.
Were you guys part of that great correction in Henry Township? There was, I can't remember the details.
I can't
of it,
remember
but
the details
I know
either.
Kennan's talked about it and Chad's taled about it, where something had to go back and be fixed or reset. And
I don't know.
Really,
there's a change that
drove
happened
up
on my
people's
taxes
taxes.
from the homestead credit to a lit tax credit.
Okay.
There's a change as well there. End result,
end results.
83% up
Right.
in like 5 years.
Right.
I don't like the trend line.
Right.
So I'm hoping that we find something to come in so that we can have additional revenue to spread out across for the county to spread out across.
We all want to grow the
these
tax
houses.
base.
We all want to grow the tax base. We all want to make Henry County greater than it is today. I mean, the one thing that I would like to see, and Madison County did this, they did an economic impact on their solar. What's the impact of taking that farm ground out of production? How does that flow to all the various options, whether it's buying seed, fuel, tractor, they did all of that.
But at some point, that's not, the local county government's concern isn't to centrally plan agriculture.
Oh, no.
It's to let the landowner decide what's the best use of that land that I own.
I understand that. I absolutely understand that. I think we need to find a balance because we want economic development.
Was there tax impact to what you were just saying?
I've
Or was
read the
that not where
study,
you were going?
but I don't want to quote numbers
Right.
without having that paper in front of me. But there's a balance between good economic development, and I would like to see, and this will never go, but I'm thinking, hey, we have a solar farm coming in. They say that these are the numbers, and they put a little asterisk next to it, and it says estimated.
So the Bellflower estimates $15 million
over the life
of the project in new revenue for Henry County. I don't know if that's a 30-year lifespan or 35-year lifespan. So $500,000.
I believe it's
a year.
35. I wouldn't want to.
And that depends upon the levy as well, right? That's all estimated.
Yeah,
I
it's
assume
all
on
estimated.
current numbers.
Yeah.
If Susan, Betsy, and the other 5 decide that we're raising the budget up, then the levy goes up and that number goes up as well. And then I have to pick at you and revolt and cry. But
Right.
I'm like 50 cents away from the 1% cap. So come at me, Betsy. You can't get it.
I do not want to raise your
But
taxes.
we have to find a balance. We have to find a balance, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
So I haven't said a lot. So I'm consuming and trying to think. So the stuff that Betsy was talking about, this association that's come together, they're a 501c4, you said?
That's right. Hoosiers for Home Rule.
As long I'm just more or less that they're official. They're not just some random Facebook group.
Yes, they're exempt from taxes. They're
Yeah.
they're very
official.
good at government.
Yeah. So what is their mission? And has this county looked at them to partner with them? I guess here's my thing, right? Is like all this stuff is going to change. We're going to get towers. You're going to eventually get turbines because there's kind of a problem right now, right? The way that we did turbines is probably not ideal because turbine technology will change. And the way that it's probably worded, I haven't read the stuff, and then you guys can educate me too, but right. Eventually turbines are going to go away from the blade style and they might go into the more cylindrical style, right? So the setbacks may not make sense for the cylindrical ones as much as it did for the fans, right? So as technology advances, we screw ourselves with these setbacks when technology advances. So a couple of things from my perspective, right? Like I'm an engineering mind guy and whatever, but is there any time to like re-look at all this stuff as technology changes? Have you guys adopted any frameworks, or are there any frameworks that you guys can adopt to not just like every time some new technology comes in that we have to go through this stuff to kind of like, and like get and ruffle everybody's feathers, where it's like, no, we just kind of have a framework we work through. This is how we adopt technology or some sort of, massive infrastructure changes, because most of the time it's infrastructure related, right? So my question, I guess, is that organization proposing and working on frameworks for counties to adopt? Because that really should be, from my perspective, their goal is to, like, don't make every county try to decide this. It's very difficult. Like, hey, these things are based off of what's going on in the world. These are some really good guidelines, some framework you can adopt, a boilerplate. You can modify it as you see fit for your county, but you at least have a starting point. So when stuff comes in, you kind of already know whether or not it's going to work or not. And then the second part is, I definitely think that there needs to be some time when we come back and reevaluate with wind energy, especially, like, as technology changes, it becomes more efficient. They're not going to need these massive blades and all this stuff that kind of causes a lot more problems. So that we are not completely opposed to, when, let's say we're not, I have this problem. So I'm going to try to word this up. Everybody's like, I don't like cars because they emit emissions, right? And it's like, you don't like cars. It's not that you don't like cars. You love cars. Everyone loves cars. The more cars we have, the better. We're all more distributed and everybody can get around. Everybody's self-dependent at that point. What you don't like is the fuel they use and what it does to the environment. Once that problem's solved, the cars are not nearly as big of a problem. Once they solve the problems with wind turbines that people don't like in the county, do you reevaluate wind energy? So, like, some of that stuff is something that I think through, is like, did we screw ourselves by writing a bill? Like, I don't know how the bill's written for wind energy and the setbacks and everything, but maybe we think about, and this group should also think about, right, is when wind energy term changes, maybe, like, setbacks are different for fans versus they are for the cylindrical time. And the same thing for solar panels. Maybe there's some sort of multi-layered solar panel where they work vertically and they're not all completely just one layer, right? Like, technology is going to change. When we work to create laws, we shouldn't pigeonhole ourselves into completely overriding. It's just like, this particular technology and the way it's implemented, we do not like.
Right. So I think what you're trying to ask in simplified terms is, are they willing to modify the existing ordinance when the technology changes?
Everything in government is fluid.
Well, it's not very fluid. That's the problem. It takes a long time to change, right? Well, so
trust me. Yeah.
You're 3 months in. Why haven't you fixed everything yet, Bobby?
Yeah. At the corporate level, it's easy to fix things at the corporate level very quickly. At the government level, not so much. But everything is fluid.
Right.
Even in government, laws change all the time. And I think that everything is fluid, and you just have to see what's coming through, what new technology. I don't think anybody is. I don't think anybody is like, this is the line I'm drawing in the sand, and I'm never, ever, 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 ever in the next 40 years going to change my opinion.
Right. I'm thinking about more like, if there is some sort of ordinance put in place for solar panels, that and like I said, this group may not do it. I would wish there's another association that would be better fit, but, like, the type of solar technology we currently use may not be the same solar technology we use in 10 or 15 years.
Correct.
So when we write the bills or the ordinances, we should specify the technology being used. And a case in point here is, in Indiana, the jail, or the jaywalking law, right, specifies in print, don't walk. Like, they're in quotes. Like, they mean that. Like, if the sign says don't walk or walk, that's the only time you can change. But now we've moved to hands and stuff. So now really, to me, there is no law on jaywalking from a legal perspective.
I'll keep that in mind.
Anarchy.
but my point, though, is that the technology changed, right? There's a case in point for THC. When they outlawed THC, they outlawed THC 9, Delta 9. THC Delta 8 is legal. You can go to your CBD stores here in Indianapolis and purchase it. You can buy THC. It will get you high. It is legal. So, like, it's more about thinking about it from a legislator place, working with the associations who actually are better fit to kind of help sculpt the language that needs to be written for the ordinance to make sense, so that the next time that the new technology comes in, it's not like, oh yeah, well, we can't do that because we already screwed ourselves. It's, oh, now we have this new technology. It's the same. It is wind energy, whatever, or it is solar, but it isn't the same implementation, and now it's different. That's kind of my thing. And like from a technical perspective, like that's kind of my problem right now with government is they like whitewash it with a law, and it never gets changed. And they're like, well, it's completely illegal now. And like, which is the problem like they've had with CBD and everything for a while, and other technologies. And
the world changes and the laws become antiquated, or the ordinances become antiquated.
Well, I think
correct. Yeah.
If the group's advocating for home rule, that's a good excuse for home rule, because it's going to be a lot easier for our county commissioners to rewrite an ordinance for Henry County than to try and get a state ordinance rewritten.
Correct.
That applies the entire
I agree
state.
with
So even if they're home rule, they're just trying to keep it in the home. Like the smaller the government is, the more agile there is. Because can you imagine if there was a federal rule on something like that, what it would take to get that changed?
Right.
There is a federal rule. That's why they keep trying to land them here, because the feds say that you have to have X amount of green energy in your.
Well, did you know in the state of Indiana, there's approximately 1,400 wind turbines in the state of Indiana?
Number 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually are.
The state of Indiana is. Yeah, we are.
I know from the beginning of this, we've said, or at least many of us have said, a landowner should be able to do what they want on their property if it doesn't grievously hurt their neighbor.
Correct.
So if we get to a point where when technology is different, so you're not grievously harming your neighbor, then I think the whole conversation changes for many people.
And in the view, it sounds like, of the majority of those in the room, or maybe everybody in the room, that solar does have a place. It's not grievously affecting.
Well, I haven't researched it very much because I knew it wasn't going to land in my lap to decide, but I think that it's likely that it could. I'd have to go research it, but it seems less intrusive,
Right.
and less harmful. But I haven't put in a lot of hours reading about it. So
It's much easier to decommission.
Yes.
Much lower impact on property values, much less impact on neighbors in general. I'm very interested in it. I'm still learning. And to your point, Jesse, I think you raise a lot of really good points. I would like to think we're all of the mindset that when we're presented with new information, we consider that and we keep an open mind, and we're always going back to the drawing board if we need to make sure whatever law or ordinance is on the book makes the most sense at that time. So this group that's been established, Hoosiers for Home Rule, they're just getting their footing. They're just getting starting. But I would expect that any logical person or group would, if presented with new information that makes them need to correct whatever the status quo is, that they would pursue that.
Right.
Well, and if you look at the makeup of people that are in this group, that make up this group, they go from A to Z, varying degrees and views of solar, wind. You know, they're pro renewables. There's anti-renewables, there's pro-renewables, and there's people somewhere in between, but it's all about home rule versus what that specific, whether it's cell towers, wind turbines, solar, anything else.
Right. Yeah. And I forgot that it was more of a home rule or association or organization or whatever. But I guess like it was my point was like, I feel like to pacify most people, right, is that I'm a big fan of people creating groups of organizations to help. And the reason for this is because the county, if we leave everything distributed, which it should be, then what you get stuck in is everybody tries to solve the same problem. And that is very inefficient. So, but by associating with like-minded counties like Wayne, like things that are demographically very similar through agriculture and stuff, you create associations that represent, and you can you have more of a pool of resources to hire the people you need to properly kind of craft out a framework for the things that you are wanting. Versus everybody's fighting here for Henry County, everybody's in Wayne fighting, where this organization, everybody could fight together. And then also on the other side, craft a very good ordinance that is adopted by any county that associates with this association. So, this is like an anarchist viewpoint, but the idea is, again, I don't necessarily like government, but I don't mind regulation. I just think the regulation needs to come from some sort of unit or organization entity by people who are involved and people who have buy-in into this situation, AKA the people who live here and whatever.
To make the decision for themselves.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point.
So let's watching the chat room here. There's a question that has come in from JB Chapman. He's a farmer in Henry County. He says he owns 2,500 acres of ground in the community, and he farms 5,000. And he says no leader has asked him his thoughts on solar yet. So I guess I want to ask the room, how have you engaged with the agriculture community and others to get input in the crafting of the solar ordinance? How does that develop?
We've just started this process. We will be having public hearings. We just started this process.
I noticed even people from what was our anti-wind group haven't been involved either because of COVID. But I would hope that there would be a lot of conversation.
There was a group of citizens that did submit this amended draft ordinance, right?
Yes,
that have been involved in that conversation. So I guess how does that committee come together, and how does somebody like JB get involved in that conversation?
They got together on their own.
Okay.
And they emailed it to us in January. That's how that happened.
So if you received other input,
absolutely,
like that,
I'm getting emails all the time.
So if somebody else drafts an ordinance,
that all the emails I'm getting are all canned with the exact same words, exact same verbiage.
Okay.
But yeah, my email address is bplummer@henrycounty.in.gov.
Just to
email me.
Yeah.
The
contact
Russians
me.
love you.
I'd like to think we're all.
I'm sorry, please.
I was making a joke about spamming. I said the Russians love you.
I'd like to think that everybody at the table is pretty approachable. I mean,
not Jesse. Jesse's
not
very
Jesse,
impressive.
but I just in conversations with my colleagues, I think that we all really do care about what citizens think, and we've all been on the other side of it. Please. Council's a little bit different here because we're never going to be passing
which is why I haven't really researched it very much.
Right.
It's just
this
not
is
going to fall
our
in
thing.
my lap.
We can pass an abatement for it or against it, and that's really our
And your
purview.
group does have indirect influence in that one council person gets appointed. So every year you guys decide who's going on the planning committee.
And I do think Kennan is a researcher,
Kennan has
and I
researched
would
a lot.
wager to bet that he's done a lot of reading about it. Yeah.
So just to be clear to the audience, like Susan and I really don't have a say here. I mean, we can talk to our colleagues, but it does land with the commissioners and the planning commission. But please, if you have opinions on this, reach out.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm willing to talk to anybody about anything.
I want to talk to people who are absolutely want solar and people who are in the middle and people who I want everybody's opinion because it makes my job. I'm going to say it's going to make my job easier, but not really.
Not really.
But I want everybody's opinion. I know that a lot of people still to this day say that I'm a one-trick pony, that I was just anti-wind, and I'm not.
If you were, you got a whole lot of problems on your plate now, so we're going to solve them together, right?
Yeah, well, it wasn't that, and I just explained it through the entire campaign. That's what got me to come into the county meetings. That's not why I stayed to every commissioner meeting, every planning commission meeting, every council meeting, every BZA meeting. So I want to hear from everybody.
Okay.
I just ask everybody to be polite, and I will be polite too.
All right. Bobbi has a new seat now, so she can't hold her cell phone and stream all these meetings for us anymore.
I cannot.
What is going on with the Henry County live stream?
So everything was put in, and then there was a problem with the camera I believe the company's name is BIS. So the week of, I think it was actually on March the 8th, they came out and did some rewiring. Got that all taken care of. And if you noticed at the last commissioners meeting, we were able to actually, with the Zoom, create the camera as a Zoom participant. So you could see in the Zoom the county commissioners sitting. And then that also made all of our mics live through that instead of using the conference mics.
Did you get feedback on whether it was audible? Yeah,
I did not.
Okay.
You couldn't hear?
No, I did not listen. I was.
I am offended, Jesse.
This is the first I've heard of it. This is. I guess my question was when you said them. This is going to be technical. But lightly, when you said is the only microphone now in the camera?
No, we were using when we Zoomed. We had a conference camera.
Oh, okay.
Used that microphone.
Okay.
So now by creating that. And this is a temporary situation.
Sure.
creating that Zoom participant, all of our mics went live. So
Okay.
my
From the
microphone,
table.
from the table,
Okay,
my
cool.
microphone, all the
I'm
wireless
curious
microphones.
how it ends up sounding because I have been surprised that it isn't even easier to hear each other. Not as easy as I was hoping.
Yeah.
And
we can have them come out and do some adjustments.
Yeah.
But the issue was when they set up the YouTube channel, there's an issue with Google. And so I will talk to last week.
So
they
it-
were having some
It's a
issues.
work in
so is
process.
there-
So eventually,
Is there
once we-
a company that's managing this for
Yes.
the group and is going to administer it and turn the cameras on and live stream the meetings, or how does that part work?
No, we have a laptop
Okay.
that we just turn it on and it'll eventually go. Right now, this is a temporary situation with making the Zoom a participant, making the day we tested it, the mics were very loud. I would get on my phone on the Zoom and go to another room and talk, and you could hear it just boom. And so they've been adjusting the
Are they
the microphones.
responsive? Are they?
Yeah, they are very responsive.
So it sounds
But
like
there's
it
an
needs some
issue,
work.
and even though I do IT for a living, in the courthouse, I try to not put my IT hat on and just keep my commissioner hat on. I put my IT hat on to when I need to work with Jeff on some of these things. But there was an issue.
Jeff is the county IT person.
Yes, Jeff Lutz is the county IT person. So I know that there's an issue with the YouTube channel, but I don't know the specifics on that, and I know they were working on it.
So the end goal, are we expecting council, planning commission, board of zoning
Live stream
appeals,
everything.
commissioners, everything that's in
Everything
that building
will be
should
live
be available?
streamed. Yep. Everything in the building will be available.
And then somebody on each of those boards will have to be trained to know how to do it and
Yeah.
to do it. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
There's, if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed it at the last meeting. If nobody watched, then you didn't notice. There's a laptop that sits to my left, and that laptop is what will control it.
That's the okay.
So when it comes to finding the content for people like Susan who doesn't on Facebook, how do you get to it? Like when you go live, like is there a place to go on
There's going to be a
There will-
YouTube channel.
There will be a YouTube channel. There is not yet. It is not. That's what they're having the issue with right now.
Right. And we
And
also,
wh-
sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to say, we're also in the process of
yes, I was gonna
building
say the
a
same
brand
thing.
new county website. And that's some of the money that we got from CARES Act is being used to completely reconfigure our website, which currently is not great.
Yeah.
And Bobby and I both have been sitting in those meetings, the design meetings. There's been probably 5 or 6 of them. They've been really interesting, and we've been researching and looking at what are the best parts of every municipal website we can get our hands on. And this company actually specializes in building websites for municipalities, and we will make sure that any live meeting is
is there
prominently featured
available
on the
on the
website.
website.
Very easy to find.
There'll be links.
That's a really high priority.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how popular me sitting for 2 hours with my hands like this was.
Well,
Until
you
I
got the
I'm on
darn
the other
promotion,
side.
and now everybody's like, "Where the hell's Bobby's video?" We could at least you could see it and kind of turn it
And
up
kinda hear it a little
It
bit.
wasn't the world's greatest, but it was
No,
access.
it wasn't.
People don't know what they, again, like we've been complaining about access to these things for, it feels like forever, literally like 8 years.
COVID's actually been nice because people
Hey,
have
I've
been
only
able
been
to,
seated
it-
since
right.
January.
It-
Not
no,
my
Yeah,
fault.
I'm not blaming. It's not even, I don't blame any specific person. I just blame government.
it's actually created more access for folks to be able to
Yes,
participate
it
and
will.
listen to the Zoom meetings over
Yes.
the last year.
And that's
Exactly.
so great. And COVID has also messed up all of this to begin with. We should have had this all installed in the summer, but COVID with
Right.
parts
Yes.
and back order. I mean,
Because
everything.
we allocated funding.
Logistics. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was
some time ago.
logistics
across
Yeah,
the world
getting
are
the
so screwed
people
up
out.
right now.
Right on the mic for me, Susan. What happens is she talks to everybody in here, and we can hear her, but then the audience misses out on.
Well, and I think that's part. Now, I'm not an AV person. I'm an IT person. There's a big difference. People think that they're one and the same, and they're not. But I have noticed that in meetings, and I do the same thing. My microphone is
Yes.
here.
If my mic
And
is
I'll
in front of
turn
my
my
face
head.
in the meeting, I can't see anyone at the podium.
yeah.
And that really bothers
Yeah,
me.
so I turn my head to talk, even if it's a little closer. If I turn my head just a little bit,
Yep,
it
you're
doesn't.
out.
It,
Yep.
Yeah, you're out.
Yeah. So, and that was
So-
kind of my thing is like,
We're going to have a
eventually-
class of like how sound waves travel for
Yeah.
everybody.
Well, it's not just that. I think the problem's simpler. You could probably use lapel mics and it would be much better. But I guess eventually
We'll talk to the council to appropriate more money for lapel mics.
Yeah.
I honestly hate the mics. They're on all the time. You have to hold a button down to mute them.
You have to hold
Right.
it down.
I hate
Yes.
that.
I personally would like ears, like I'm going to.
You want to go Madonna style?
It is nice.
I wasn't
know
going to say Madonna because I didn't want to age myself, but yes.
I know there are some people that
Somebody's Googling Madonna right now. Some 22-year-old is going, who the hell is Madonna? She's this British
I know who
woman from
Madonna
Detroit.
is, but I don't know the thing. So I'll have to look it up
It's
tonight.
an
Britney
ear
Spears
wrap
had
mic that comes around, and it's usually flesh tone, so
Yeah,
you can't
really see it.
And it sits right here.
What I was going to say was it can go into people's hearing aids, can't it? I know that
They have
we
Bluetooth for them, yeah.
Is that what Ed does? I mean, I know he said he's listening through.
Not on his phone, it does.
Yeah.
But I don't think not
So,
the microphones
yeah,
don't. But
hearing aids-
his cell phone does go through his
Hearing aids have Bluetooth built into them.
My
now.
dad's the same way now. So
Yep.
he can turn the family off just with his
Yep.
his iPhone. He can just
My dad did that all the time.
yeah.
And he'd pick up his phone and I'm like,
drives him crazy. He goes to restaurant mode. He hits everybody,
Oh, yes.
and it's a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
we've been
technology has come a
learning
long way.
We've been learning that the last couple of years.
well,
with
be
my
very
dad.
careful because you never know when he's got it turned up. So don't whisper.
Oh yeah,
Don't loudly whisper something you don't want him to hear.
you'll get it. You'll get it. All right, so that's the courthouse update, and I'm excited. We are getting there.
We are.
The thing
We are
I was
getting
running
there.
on and off for running like 4 years ago is finally almost happening, and I didn't
Yeah.
have to win. So
Yeah.
this is the greatest thing ever. All right, Henry County broke ground again for a new shell building. We have to replace
Yes.
we're replacing the old one. So once again, this is all with the goal of lowering my taxes because they've gotten up 83%, Betsy, in 5 years.
I have not voted for taxes.
Susan, they've gone up 83%.
We're not.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
Same thing, and I can't say that.
She threw you under the bus and she backed it up.
But have you driven by the new jail going
Yes,
up?
have you driven by the new jail?
It was
Oh, wait, I'm going to make it worse. I'm not even complaining about that tax. This is my property tax. That's not even talking about the income you stole from me either. That's a totally different conversation.
I'm sorry, Susan. My goodness.
Man, I'm getting both pockets have been
You've
ripped.
got tire
deep.
tracks all over you.
But I did say I was sorry, so maybe it helps a little bit. No, and to be fair, if I were sitting in her seat, I think I would have had to. I think I would have made the same decision, and I would have hated to do it, but it was the right thing to
Are
do.
you talking about the incarceration tax?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all hated to do it. So I think Kenan made the motion, and it was
A
definitely
very long pause.
And I almost got up out of my chair to second it when I think Chad seconded the motion. We all knew we had to do it,
You're not.
and we hated to do it.
You guys are not. I mean, I've been in the room enough to know the way I think people generally view fiscal responsibility, and I know it is near and dear everybody's heart that we allocate every single penny
Yes.
appropriately for the county. It is our number one
Yes.
priority. It dictates everything we do in budget sessions, and that was a very tough decision. But
Yeah, I mean, I know how long my husband has to work to pay for our portion of that incarceration tax. So that's everybody.
So, but the
go
conversation I was trying to lead us into.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Before we started reminding me of
Puppies in a
bad
basket.
memories of those terrible tax increases. Henry County's starting a new shell building.
Yes.
So what's the goal of it? What happens? What was it? Did you guys get to keep your shovels from the groundbreaking yesterday? What's the story?
Where
I
is
don't
it
think you
also?
did you?
I did not keep my shovel.
I think they
No.
gathered them all up afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because now we don't have to pay for shovels.
Yeah.
We have them still.
But you know what they should have done is they should have loosened the dirt where you guys were standing to shovel because it was rock compacted.
They didn't bring in stunt dirt. Some
No.
of these bring in
It was-
TV dirt.
Yeah.
Hard compacted. I
was
was
kinda-
holding the baby and thinking, I'll ask Chad to come shovel the dirt in my place.
So this is in essentially right next door to the old show building
Yes.
that Runnable built, where Boar's Head is putting their hummus dip facility.
Correct.
I think they call it Boar's Head North.
Yeah. And I'm
Across
excited
the way.
about it. I've learned a lot about the process of economic development in the last 2 years and the idea that people, businesses want something that's already up to move into. So I'm excited to see what.
So it's
that
like
will turn
a
into.
model home for Corey Murphy. Is that
Yes.
right? Is that the best way to describe
Yeah.
it?
kind of.
Is it going to be more?
They have to have property to advertise.
Is it going to be more turnkey than the old shell building?
Actually, I think it's going to be,
Because the other one didn't even have a floor.
Well, that's
what they want.
Yeah, because
Okay.
every different companies want different specifications.
And they're very specific.
Yeah.
I need this ceiling height. I need this
concrete level.
everything.
So I guess,
that's
I don't
Depending
know.
on if you're
I don't know
putting
the answer to
a
that.
facility in that's doing some heavy manufacturing,
Sure, yeah, no,
you
I
might
get it.
need
You
a
want
slab that's
reinforcement
24
stuff. Yeah,
inches
right.
thick versus
Yeah.
somebody that's a warehouse that needs 8-inch thick concrete.
No, I was just
So
curious.
that, and you don't want to go in and pay for the retrofit. So that's why they would just go no slab at all, essentially a pole barn.
That's a great question. I mean, who
you're
would have
you're
known
exactly
that?
right. Basically, a glorified I hate to say
It's a pole barn. It is
but
a
it's a
pole
pole
barn.
barn, and then it can be modified.
It's called a shell building.
Yeah, that's why it's called a shell
also a
building.
pole barn.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
It's not a pole barn though, because it
No,
has,
it's
not
a-
a pole would be timber, right?
Right.
And it's not timber. So we're not building a farm.
Right.
We're building a,
Yeah.
I've seen metal poles before.
But that's a good way to. It's kind of a good way to
But
describe
in
it
layman
to
terms,
make
that's what
people
it would be.
understand. Yeah,
but it's metal columns on a concrete foundation with modern siding and reasonable height.
so it's a building.
My understanding, with the exception of the floor, for good reason, that it's site ready. Like it'll be built, and someone can come in and specify the floor, and they're ready to go. And it's
Is the plumbing ran at that point?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was
the
gonna say,
answer
I
to that
believe it
question.
is, right? I mean, I know the
Answer
sewer
there.
set up, the water.
I imagine it
Right.
would need to be.
I figured there might, maybe the water runs to like the side
The
of it,
utilities
and then-
come
yeah.
to the building and it's
Right.
ready to go.
Okay.
And then
They-
once again, they don't anticipate what the purchaser is going to
Where
require.
They're-
each pipe needs.
Yeah,
to
they're
be.
just saving. I'm just trying to figure out. So I'm trying to figure out from a business perspective why, and I guess it's because they're saving months of building time.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So
And having the building already there in the industrial park, they already know how it's zoned, and there aren't going
Right.
to be any complications, obviously. And then they're saving that time to get everything.
And so they're
started.
probably saving like a year and a half or
Well,
something.
if you listen to Corey Murphy talk, sometimes it's not even about they want that building. The building is a representation of the county wants you to come there, and Corey will show them the building. And I think this is what he said happened with Boar's Head initially. And they said, well, we don't really need the building, but we like this area. And they turn around and they build across the street. So it's kind of like, it's
It's
like
a model home.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
very much like a
welcome.
model home. It
Very
gets them
much.
in there, and then it gets. Without it, the business doesn't even come to the county.
The
to look.
conversation doesn't
They move
start.
somewhere
It's
else.
just too easy to like poke fun at people when you have a building with dirt in it, and they're like, "This is it." You know, like,
But a lot of times he can't even, apply with a company if he doesn't have a shell building. Even
Right.
if he knows it might not be the perfect fit, if he has that shell building, he can submit.
it's like Seinfeld level of humor right there. I feel like you're just like, "Yeah, this is our building. It's got a dirt floor." Like it's just super funny.
You got to dream with me, Jesse. That's
I think it's really exciting to see that part of our county develop on the I-70 corridor, right? Just south of town, and see the industrial park be built up. It's good progress. And Boar's Head just won the Business of the Year award from the Chamber of Commerce. They came in a few years ago. Look what the huge impact they've had in our community, not just jobs and economic impact, but the way they have given back and been really charitable and worked with different organizations. I'm excited to get to know another community partner that really might make a good impact for Henry County. So on that level, I'm pretty excited.
So like I guess what Jeremiah, one of your questions was, I feel, or maybe was like, who are we targeting? Is that right? Like something, wasn't that like question? Like,
yeah. I
what's
guess
the goal?
what ultimately
we know the goal is to get somebody to come in, but I guess so. I'm going to elaborate on your question is when this happens, and obviously you're learning about economic development. And this isn't Corey Murphy, and maybe it's better addressed for Corey Murphy, but is when we're building that, who's like the avatar customer that we're like looking to snag? Like who is that? Like when it comes to economic development, are we trying to get like more food processing places? Are we trying to get, or we're like, no, we're done with that. We've got enough for now. Let's do
Right.
something else.
They look at wage,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
targeted and
They
number
also
of
look at the
employees,
skill level,
skill
skill set,
match.
knowledge.
And they do look
Yeah.
at
And try to pair that with like what's going on in the
Yes.
county.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
whether or not it would be something the community would like. If it's something that is going to produce excess emissions or something where there may be a flag, but I think wage, skill set
Right. It has
is
to be a good
huge.
fit.
Community.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Corey might
Right. He would have a
I
better
mean,
answer than us.
it could be manufacturing. It could be something completely
could
different.
be
It-
warehousing. It could be
It could be
whatever.
warehousing. It could be distribution. It could be whatever.
Could be a call center.
It could be a call. I would love to see a call center
I
come to
was going to say, that's
Henry
my thing
County.
is, and that's my, what I
or
was
distribution center.
grit. Like that's why I was like grinding my teeth a little bit when they're like looking at the skill set. I'm like, but the thing is we need to get that skill set
Correct.
So
Yes,
we can't
we
just
do.
be like, oh, we have perfect matches.
Yeah.
Like we need one like a level above so that people are like, well, I can type on a computer and like get people to like, oh, now we can get a little bit more like business or like, clerical work rolling in and a little bit more administration work coming in.
Yeah. And that would be excellent.
Yeah,
would
no,
be.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was my thing is like what
Some
I
type
guess,
of corporate headquarters.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
Oh, absolutely.
or at least some sort of substation of a
Yeah.
headquarters. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but because
The Henry
Wouldn't it
County
be great if
Outpost.
Amazon came in?
I don't think you want I don't think you want HQ3's headaches,
No, I
Bobby.
don't. No, I don't. But
God, can you imagine the fight would have over just putting up a damn traffic light on 3? It'd be a whole thing.
again, if it was like a small office, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That would be great. For 2 reasons. You're going to import people into the county and you're going to provide the people who are moving out of or leaving the county to work an possible opportunity
to stay here. Yep. And the county does need to work on the brain drain.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely needs to work on the brain drain.
There was just an article.
Wait a minute. Zach, Jesse, and I stayed. What the hell are we?
Well,
But our work,
We're under
I
40
stayed
and
too.
none of us work in the county.
there was an article that was just
Born
in
and
the
ra-
paper.
well, not born, but-
about a guy who said that he's like, this is a great community to raise your family in. He's like, but when your kids graduate, then they need to leave to build a life for themselves. And some people kind of took offense at that, but he went to college, and when he graduated from college, he couldn't find a job in town. And some people said, well, we need more skilled trades. I'm like, I'm all about skilled trades. The career center is doing a great job,
Yeah.
but you need to have people at all different levels
Yes.
of education have somewhere to go. And yes, I still live here and I haven't been to work in a year, but when I eventually go back to work, my work's in Indianapolis because that's where I'm not heavily looking all the time, but I poke around and it's not easy to find a job if you have like a bachelor's or higher. I mean, if somebody's got a higher education than a bachelor's, it has to be really difficult to not.
I'm sitting with a Penn State professor who works from
Yeah.
Middletown.
I had to leave the Midwest to get my job.
I've lived in Henry County. I graduated from IU. I came back to Henry County, but sad enough, I've worked most of my career in Indianapolis or the surrounding area because that's where my skill set.
And maybe telecommuting will help that a bit. Because I
think
really
so.
hope that I don't have to go back to the office full time. I don't expect that they'll tell me we're never going to see you again. But that might make it a little bit easier for people. But yeah, there is definitely it's a lot harder to find a job at.
You should just start sending your twin brother in from time to time to make an appearance on your behalf and just call it good.
Yeah.
And
A
a lot of places won't come back full time into their building. That they will have more telework than coming into the building.
Okay. The one final county related issue that I have on the itinerary tonight is a conversation that the county government's been having the last couple of months. And it's around the idea of a county chaplain. And I know, Susan, you introduced this idea 2 or 3 months ago at a county council meeting.
Maybe December.
And I think it's gone through council. I don't know if council's taken any action. Now it's actually in the commissioner's hands. Is that accurate? Or
Commissioners didn't take any action
I think it's
last month.
I think it's died.
There's no
I
longer.
think
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
There was an article about the idea, I guess, in March. That's why I wanted to bring it up and have the conversation. Okay. So no.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it went from the council to the commissioners.
It was an idea I was excited about, just to see what could happen with it, but there was not support on the council for funding. So,
and then when it left the council and came to the commissioners, we heard a lot of feedback from county employees, and we took that to heart, and we allowed Sean and I. Sean's a great man, and from a 10,000-foot view, I was like, you know what, this is a great idea. But as we got lower and the employees started responding to us, if everybody's saying we're not going to use it, there's no point.
I was a little concerned with the method of getting employee feedback.
Yeah,
As far as it sounded like there were department heads going to their people and asking them if they would use that service, which reminded me a little bit of the Office episode where everyone had to report their,
Just to make sure we have you covered on your
diseases
insurance.
to make sure it's covered. So, a lot of times people aren't going to say like, yeah, I have a huge emotional problem. I have no
Correct.
one to talk to about it. So I hope that that's not how it played out. I really felt like we either
How many Dwight Schrutes work for this county?
Probably a few.
So I hope the information wasn't solicited in that manner, because I almost feel like that could shame people. Like, you surely don't need a chaplain, do you? Like, no, I surely don't.
I know in the actual courthouse
Right.
at 101 South Main Street, I was getting feedback direct from the employees.
Okay.
That
And
doesn't
that
mean that
is
that,
great.
That
Right.
doesn't mean that in other places that it wasn't department head.
Yes.
But I know
'Cause
I was getting feedback.
I thought the last thing people need is to feel shamed for
Yes.
having an emotional
And that was my
need.
concern as well.
That's especially in this crazy time we're living in.
Because honestly,
Yeah.
if someone said, Bobby, do you need mental health? Everybody can have their own opinion whether I need a mental health person, but I would probably go, no, I'm fine.
No.
I'm fine.
I think the spirit of this is really good, though. Like, how do we empower our employees and help them in this insane time in the world? Like, it comes from the right place, but the help that they might need, I think it should be coming from them, that request. And what I'm really excited about is the last 6 months, it seems like there's been a lot of discussion about the employee assistance program, which a lot of people don't know that
That's
exists.
exactly what I was going to
It's
ask.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
have an EAP through work that's a
Yeah.
confidential
I love
service I would
mine,
call,
yeah.
and if I need it, I can use it for all kinds of services. And my employer just pays for it, and it's no cost to the employee. So does county employees, do they have access to that similar program?
Yes,
They
it's
do
a very
have
good
access.
one.
So, and maybe this gets more, I don't know, training, or
Because I don't think a lot of
people can
employees
learn
really understood what
Right.
they had available.
right. So maybe that is one good thing that
Yes,
came out of
this
it, is that
conversation
some
brought
conversation
that out.
happened.
That said, hey, did you know?
Right.
Because I'm not on county insurance, but I didn't know that some of the things that were available. I'm like,
Yeah.
A traditional
Right.
EAP would have weight loss counseling. They would usually have, if you have mental health concerns, substance abuse, if you're interested in, I think even finding childcare, there's a number of different things that the company I work for offers.
yeah. Yeah, I believe
Financial,
all of that is
financial coaching.
Yeah.
Mine helped me get a dermatologist in Muncie. Like, I don't know
Okay.
where to go. What's on my plan? Like, it doesn't have to be anything super exciting. It can
Right.
be pretty mundane too. But, what I like to see is us empowering our employees and responding to their needs and making sure that they're getting the assistance they need.
It's like a concierge. You just call this number and tell them what
Right.
you need, and they'll take care of you.
But and like I said, I did, because I had talked to Sean, and I did, the concept. I really did like it, in this stressful time and everything that has happened over the last year. I mean, it's been a horrible 2020, and hopefully 2021 is better. And I thought, you know what, this might not be a bad thing. So.
What is exciting is that there have been people who've come out and said, I'm a chaplain or I'm a pastor or whatever, and I'm willing to do that job. And so I think maybe in the future we might even look at that as a potential volunteer position. But paying for it now, I think, is the stumbling block, and especially when we could have that person for free and do the same service. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
83%. 83%, Betsy. That's what my taxes
I'm so
got.
sorry.
Did Jody help you out?
She did. Well, so
Jody's great.
Jody was awesome.
Jody's
I had a
great.
great conversation. She sat down. She showed me exactly what happened or what I had. But in the assessor's office, it's a conversation of, okay, here's what your property was worth when you bought it. Here's what it is now. Do you agree with that? Yes, I agree. I have no quarrel with what the assessor says my house is worth. Okay, well, we're done in that office. The assessor only is one side of it's a big algebra calculation, and nobody knows how the hell we get to the end of it. But Jody's office deals with column A of how much is your house worth, and then Susan and Betsy decide what the county budget is, and then a third office decides, okay, well, what's everything worth, and then they divide it out, and they say, okay, every $1,000 in your house is going to get taxed at 2.2%, and that's the levy for the entire community.
What was the third office? So it goes
So
from
it's
assessor
the
to council to
assessor, the recorder will decide who has
The
every
recorder.
property, right?
what? Right.
And then you guys decide what the actual rate is, and then the state board of accounts make sure that everybody's colors within the lines, I guess.
Well, it sounds like your township trustee might have some say here
And
too,
then
which
and
is
then
the
your
difference
township.
between
So
our
then
taxes and yours.
your township trustee is also involved in the conversation because they have a budget.
Yep.
If you have a municipality, you have it as well. So if you live in the city of Newcastle, those people already have hit the 1% cap because they have so much government that they have met the constitutional, you can't do it. I'm at like 99.9% level of government. I can't take any more government before you can't steal any more money from me. The state said so. It'd be a violation of the law. But that's what happens. And then you get to another community maybe that has slightly less, a slightly smaller township government, and you still got some more room. That's essentially the reality of it. But every township has an effective rate, and then you have your inside or outside. And it depends upon what taxing entities you have. Wild, incredible
a side note on that, after I was elected, before, I can't remember if it was before or in January, AIC put on these training. Obviously, they usually do it in person, but one of it was actually how all these taxes are calculated and what happens if it's over and this and that. And it's very interesting. It's a little confusing, but it's very interesting. And I think everybody needs to take, obviously, hopefully AIC is in person at some point, because I think it would be better. But yeah, I learned a lot just in that one.
The way that your property taxes are structured, you're also the school is also a massive part of the conversation as well. In the way property taxes are structured is that every organization that has, we'll say their clause has a part of that. Their interest is to hang on to the percentage of the pie that they have, especially once you get to that 1%. Because if the tax levy gets to 105% or 110%, say Henry County said, we don't need quite as much money for our health department or our parks this year. So they released it down. You're still not getting a discount because you're already at the cap.
Correct.
So what's going to happen is the piece of the pie that now goes to the school or to the city of Newcastle gets larger. That's the incentive that you built. Now, you would see a slight reduction if you're in a township that doesn't have quite as many layers of government there.
Let's just say Dudley.
So if you live in Dudley Township, you may actually see a small reduction.
Right.
It's just the reality of it. But it's the way that government is designed and functions, and the way that it's built upon itself, that nobody really has that together. Which is also why, as soon as a bond ends, we had a $2 million bond that paid for new voting equipment and paid for some improvements in Memorial Park. The county just went ahead and renewed it because the county already had that bond in the taxes, so it doesn't change what people are paying.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, to get that money, the magic of this is that you end up paying for, you're borrowing the money. So you're paying interest throughout the entire 2-year period, but the way that government is designed, that's essentially the best solution.
We had a great deal of conversation about that.
Yeah. It's insane. The whole thing is insane, incredible, phenomenal, and painful. But 83%, that's what my taxes went up. 83%. All right. Done complaining for now.
Move to Dudley Township.
Well, I mean, if you make an offer, I've talked about, I was willing to, I told Corey Murphy when he was on here that I bring in a lot of tourism to this community with my pool parties. And I'm willing to be like the Colts in Baltimore. And if I get a better offer from Dudley Township, I will move the entire operation to
Will
Dudley.
you build a new pool?
I mean, what kind of a tax
saving.
abatement am I being offered?
I don't. I've only been to one of your pool parties, so you're going to have to sweeten the deal here.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what 2021 brings.
Okay.
We had some interruptions with the pandemic as well. All right. We're returning back to normal. The NCAA is coming to Indiana. Henry County is getting all kinds of tourists. I saw that there were some major college athletes that came through and visited today.
Knightstown
came to the Hall of Fame, came to Knightstown, shooting some hoops on the Newcastle Chrysler High School Alfred gym, whatever we call it. Green, the world's largest and finest.
Hey, it won best gym in Indiana.
It won the big contest?
Yeah.
All right.
The governor's contest.
Very nice.
Showed Seymour who's boss. We weren't going to get beat by Seymour.
So I want to get a feel. We're slowly but surely getting back to normal a little bit. There's vaccines are almost down to my age range. I'm 2 clicks away. What are you guys going to start going to some major sporting events? Colts games, Pacer games, NCAA is coming to town. Any of that on the radar for those in the room?
Absolutely. I guess you're assuming that we would go. We went.
I was gonna
But
say,
if I wanted
you should
to,
say,
I would.
You should say like just large crowd events.
Large crowd.
Yeah, I mean sporting events.
I'm not going to any damn sporting event.
Well, I love sports. I was bummed not to get to go to any Colts games last year. My partner and I have a ticket package for the new NWSL team in Louisville, Racing Lou. So that's outdoors, so that's not really a big deal anyway. But yeah, I'm very excited to get back out and to experience sports ball, which I've missed
casino?
so much.
Why, if the casinos go back to normal.
Have you been to the casino since? I went one time. I visited Anderson.
My sister and I went once, and it was the feel of it. I don't know if you thought the atmosphere of it was just really surreal. It was really.
Turn your mic for me. Just look.
Sorry.
There you go.
It was subdued. It was just really weird.
Yeah.
And so we didn't go back. We will go back, but hopefully they open up.
We've been trying our best to, be normal this whole time. So the question seems strange. So I would go anywhere I have been, and I've been doing that.
Well, we've been doing that. We've been
year as well.
We've been going out as soon as restaurants could take people. We still go once or twice a month, or however often. I go more with my business when I'm out and about. I've tried to maintain as normal as I possibly can.
I only slow down like during the big peaks. This is the only time I would stay at home, like December and January when it was real bad.
You don't do stupid things. You don't lick doorknobs. You don't.
Yeah.
My children licked a lot of doorknobs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We're okay.
I would go to like breweries and stuff, and when they would open up, even at like 25% capacity, it was like that's just too many people right now. So I would I choose days that they were slow.
Yeah.
Some of it's kind of comical. The restrictions. I do laugh at some of the things that businesses decide. Yeah, we're not going to do it anymore. I went to Goodwill yesterday, and their sticker said, "Yeah, because of COVID, we're not going to help you carry stuff to your car anymore."
Right.
I'm like,
oh wow.
I'm not entirely sure it's because of COVID. You want to carry
Completely
stuff to your car.
illogical,
You just
right?
don't want to carry stuff to cars, and now it's your convenient reason not to want to do that. But
and I approach this whole thing with, if you have high anxiety about COVID, and you don't, no judgment. Please do whatever makes you feel safe and comfortable. I had to continue to work.
Yeah.
I was an essential, as much as I could, with all the restrictions on my clients. But I wore my mask. I washed my hands.
You're a good citizen, right?
I was a good citizen.
So I went to a Pacers game last night. That's what triggered this conversation. I went to my very first Pacers game in probably 2 years. I didn't go to a Colts game last fall. And we had my wife actually went to the Big Ten tournament. She went to a Big Ten game last week. She kind of warned me. She's like, they are really sticklers over at Lucas Oil. And it was very similar at Bankers Life, Conseco Fieldhouse, whatever we call it, Indiana Fieldhouse. They had lines painted in the walkway outside saying, "Hey, stay on your right." So it was like a traffic lane. You had to wear your mask the entire time you were there. If you were, because I'm used to, you wear your mask, you get to a restaurant, you sit down, you eat, you take your mask off, and it's kind of, that's normal to me. So, and wearing it out in public from the grocery store, I'm in there 15 minutes, but I hadn't done 3 hours of just wearing the mask. And then an usher has new responsibilities now. An usher is now the mask police. So I put something out on Facebook last night.
They got a raise.
I don't know, but then they only have to deal with, because there's such a small crowd. There's like 14 people in their section, so they know you by name when they're yelling at you by the end,
right?
Because I can drink beer only so fast and make it through the night. So I bought I got my $10 Mick Ultra or whatever the heck it was. I know, Jesse, you're going to chastise me. It's what they had. It was a gift. So I had my $10 Mick Ultra.
Do you know that you can drink Miller Lite for 1 extra calorie?
I had what they gave.
That's their latest commercial. So they're going after Mick Ultra.
You know what happened to me? I got a beer for like $4 outside, and it was the special on sale for like $4 on the draft. Mm-hmm. So I ordered that because it was the draft special. Well, then somebody saw, well, you're drinking Milk Ultra, so I'll buy you a beer inside. And then next thing I knew, I was on Milk Ultra all night. And I'm like, I didn't mean for this to happen. I was just being thrifty.
I love it.
And now I'm stuck on Milk
You're
Ultras.
Mr. Mick Ultra. I'm going to buy you one next time we get
I
out.
can't wait.
I think what you experience too is there's a huge difference, as I've discovered, between Marion County and the rest of Indiana. Like Marion County is hardcore about masking.
It's a culture too. It's a culture thing.
I'm trying to understand if it is the optics of, hey, we are at a major league event.
No, it's a culture thing.
Or if this is just everything in Marion County.
That's everything in Marion
I
County.
think it's everything in Marion
But
County.
it was literally like the joke of, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, was saying, hey, yeah, we need you to put your mask back on between bites and between sips. Literally what they're making me do as I'm sitting there, and I'm a grown ass man sitting there trying to watch a basketball game, and I have my sip of drink, and I'm sitting there holding it. And then if I don't swallow it fast enough, I can put my damn mask on, or she's coming up. Yeah, like, kind of kills the vibe of an NBA game.
It does. I thought that was a joke. That
I thought it was hilarious until it was me getting yelled at.
And I was at a political event at the Columbia Club, and I saw that happening where people would take a quick sip and then put their mask. I was blown away by it, and I was like, I guess that makes sense. But wow, so intense.
The building is set up so that there's tape on the seats. You can't sit with people you didn't come with.
Yeah, so
and I'm sitting
everybody
with them,
that
and
rode in
I'm
your car
12
sitting
feet away
next to
from
you.
anybody.
My tongue is going to start bleeding here in just a second
Go ahead,
because I
please.
mean, whatever you're breathing while you're drinking is aerosolized anyway. So when you put your mask back on afterwards, everyone else is still. I mean, that's a very regulated game.
They're going to catch the fumes from my Mick Ultra. So anyway, I don't know that I'm going to be going back to any games real soon.
We've chosen not to do things intentionally like that. Not because we're afraid of the virus, but because we just don't want to live that way.
Yeah.
It sucks the joy.
It's the experience of going back to a game, and it's fun and it's cool to be there, but I wasn't super passionate about the Pacers of the game. Now, if it's the Indy 500, I'll make some sacrifices, Zach.
I think a lot of people would
in the
make
middle of
sacrifice
July
for it.
to wear a mask all day. No, thank
June.
you.
It's June.
All right. But
What's that?
What's the capacity for the NCAA
Which do
tournament?
nothing to protect you, but
just humidity all over.
Oh yeah, that would be terrible.
Then
too.
it's just foggy the whole time.
Maximum 25% building capacity, I think, but each individual venue has the ability to set their own as well.
Okay.
So the 4 Marion County venues are 25%. I think they went with 12 or 13% up at Purdue. I don't know why. And then I don't know if it was Monroe County or IU that made a decision, but they capped it at 500 people at Assembly Hall. So that's probably like a 2%.
Oh, my
capacity.
alma mater, and that makes me so sad. I would not go in because I was down there in the Bobby Knight era, so it was always packed.
Yeah,
that would make me so sad.
Yeah, it's 500 people for the tournament.
This is probably the only time I would go to a game. I'm the guy that goes to movies on Sunday morning because
there's nobody there. Are you antisocial?
Not
or just don't like crowds?
I don't like crowds.
Okay, and that's okay.
Jared took me to a game one time, and I was freaking out the whole damn time. I was like, "There's too many people here. We're gonna get bombed. Like something's gonna happen."
So you're not going to go to Times Square whenever they're allowed to have the million people on New Year's Eve?
No, hell no.
Well, I'm with you there. No way.
No, I don't. I just don't like. I don't like going to malls. I don't like just anywhere where there's a crowd. I don't like sharing transportation with people. I don't know. Like it's just. I don't know. I've watched too many movies, and it's just
you're okay.
Now
I
have anxiety
from COVID by your own.
Yeah, I mean, like I typically don't get sick that often because I don't go out. So like now it's weird is when now like I said, when I go to breweries and stuff, and like it's 25% capacity and it's at capacity. I'm like, all right, it's now with COVID, it's too much. Like
yeah.
So now things are open most of the way in Marion County.
You would lose your mind at the Indy 500.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
I'm actually sitting here thinking that you had to eat dinner with my children a year or so ago, so you were probably not. Did we not at a fundraiser event or something?
That was before that, though.
No, it was before COVID, but I'm thinking
inherently
already.
with Cell 6?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't. That doesn't. I mean, I'm cool with like kids and stuff. Like it's not even like a germaphobe thing. It's like I don't. The
like mass of humanity is.
I understand where you're. I don't suffer from that. I don't mean to say suffer, but
Jesse
I don't
won't
have
fly
that
either.
high
He's got some
anxiety.
quirks.
Yeah.
But people, you know, I want
some
everybody
personal
this far
space.
apart from me at least.
Yeah.
Don't step into my personal space.
I think we're going to come away with this with some level of social anxiety that I did not go into it with.
I think
because I have been some places that, and they were still spaced me block, but it was like full for what they had set things up for. And I felt weird the entire time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this because I haven't been, we went to an IndyCar race, but we were camped and we were in a golf cart. We were never in a group there. They didn't have anything that would be a group. It was just our little campsite. We hung out by that. But yeah, like the test will be, if there's a crowd at the 500, and I think there will, I don't think it'll be a full crowd getting in. is normally where they have all these security measures. I'm like, I don't know why you have a security measure. I'm in line with a group of 12,000 people standing outside one gate waiting to get inside, and there's no security checkpoint to get to where I'm at. That's always like, I'm in Jesse's brain there, where if you were going to do something, I wouldn't sneak in the track. I'd just stand out here in Georgetown. But this next year, if it's a line to get in there, it'll be weird because it'll be the most people I've been around for like 8, well, even more. It'll be since May of 2019. Yeah. So it'll be 2 years at that point because we were kind of coming off the winter last year. We weren't really doing anything at that point when everything kind of started. So yeah, it'll be.
I took a cruise the week before the world shut down, so I was in a crowd, I guess. But
it's to the point now that I'm like, when I turn on Seinfeld and I'm like watching them at Monk's Cafe, and like one of them gets up, I'm like, put your mask on.
Oh, I do that all the time with TV.
Yeah, like I'm just like, where's your mask?
That looks unsafe.
Like, but anyway, like I'm just like, I am programmed now. Like, and it's like, I'm not even a person susceptible to being programmed. And like, here I am just like, where's your mask?
Yeah.
Talking to Jerry Seinfeld from 30 years ago.
And Susan can attest at the EDC, at the groundbreaking, we're standing outside. What did I have on my face?
Your mask.
I just automatically got out of the car.
Yeah.
Put my mask on. I'm like, I'm standing outside. Why do I have a mask on?
Yeah. It is really, we don't know how this is going to impact us. I mean, we talk about COVID financially, we talk about it health wise, but just the way we interact with the world, I think we're all damaged or scarred, or we're impacted in ways we can't even begin to realize yet.
We made the choice to remove our kids from some activities because we didn't want them to be reprogrammed in that way. Like, I know that your group is going to sing in choir with a mask on, but we're going to chill at home because that is just not the way we're not
going to experience the world that way.
We're not going to do that. So if we're not allowed to go out in public without a mask, we'll chill at home more because we don't want our children to embrace those things. So
yeah, it's like I said,
because there has been a lot of reprogramming and everything going on. So it's easy to become a victim of it.
It's kind of crazy because I was saying it's a culture thing. I spend a lot of time with my friends in Marion County, and it's just a vastly different approach. Like when it was last summer, people would wear them walking around on the sidewalks. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then they're like, well, it's everywhere. I'm like, you don't want to come out where I live. Like you would die. I was like, I mean, like to the point, like sometimes when people come to the Mexican restaurant or whatever, I'm like, dude, don't like it was like the height of it and I was still going. And it was like one of the last times I went out for a while. Some dude came through and just like coughed like right by my plate. And I was like, bro, I would be grossed out originally, like especially during flu season. When I go to like some restaurants, I get kind of grossed out, like hearing coughing all the time. Like when I'm at like a or at a Chinese like buffet, which is already a bad place to be. Like, and then I'm like, me and my friend Mark will be sitting there and we'll hear like kids coughing and people coughing. I'm like, I'm going to get sick. Like, this is it.
You know that when you hear those noises, your immune system cranks up.
Yeah, but that egg drop soup was worth it, man. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Whatever the cost.
It's a choice you made.
Yeah. So I'm just always like, I'm going to get sick now. But that,
zinc, Jesse, zinc. High doses of zinc.
I take lots of, not pills, but I guess I take a lot of vitamins.
I just like to snort the emergency powder packets now at this point. Just 3 or 4 of those a day, and the doctor stays away. We are running way over on the allotted time. It's been a great conversation tonight, but real quick, the last thing on our little hot list here is Betsy. You got a big wedding coming up for a guy that's close to this show. I
have been asked to officiate the wedding of Chris Guffey and Paige Staten, and Chris has been a huge part of Boss Hog, and I'm really excited. I think this is the 5th or 6th wedding that I've officiated, the first in the county, and yeah, I've been working hard to plan behind the scenes, and hopefully we'll do a good job.
Now, is he going to swear his allegiance to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast at any point in the vows? Has that been released to you yet?
He did say he wanted to write his own vows, and I sent him a website that I thought would help him with that. And I don't know where we are with that.
Is the podcast going to come up at all I'm starting to worry that this day is not going to be up me up knees nearly as much as I was hoping.
The content, and I actually had not considered that because I could say like I know him from that, but I don't.
Yeah.
During ceremonies, I try not to talk about me at all because it's not about me. It's about the people getting married. The only time I've ever spoken about myself is like when it was my sister, and I'd say something. I'm her sister, my best friend. I officiated his wedding in October, and he said, "No, I want you to talk about your relationship with me and my wife." And so for him, I did that, and I'll try to work in Boss Hog.
I think it's important.
You're
a groomsman. You could just put a thing on the
on
your back of your tux.
You will be part of the engagement story.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I try to.
I bullied him into that too. It's forced friendship as a theme.
I try to make it really personal. Like I love to tell like, what is your story? Like, how did this happen? How did your relationship grow? How did you evolve? How did you get to this point? What do you like about each other? Like, what are your hopes?
I know some things he likes about it.
Yeah. So I asked really intentional questions, and I built on that. So I think I've gotten pretty good reviews, and it's been all friends and family so far. So it's not like
You haven't gone pro.
I've thought about it, and I think I would do really well. And there are people who do that, but it's like I have a couple of jobs already. Do I really?
Do people, when they write their vows, do they hand them to you first?
Do you have final say? Do you get to say, "Oh hell no, you can't read this"?
The two that did their own, they like pulled them out of their pocket.
Right.
And no, my opinion is it's your wedding, not mine. Whatever you want.
Because I was hoping someone would just be like AEIOU. I wrote them for you.
Yeah, and others I've supplied and been like, here's what I would. Here's what I have, or we could look up more. There's a million different ways to do this. The only part of the wedding that's actually legally required is agreeing to marry each other. The rest, like right.
Like you said, it's all decoration.
Yeah, and the Patreon portion I mentioned, like the rest is just decoration and fluff, and that's good. Like that stuff's really important. Like that content matters, but the legality of it is another. So
what is the point of people contesting the marriage?
When you say, does anybody
the
object?
objection?
Whatever.
I have not been to a wedding that's had that in probably 20-some years.
Yeah.
I just was always like, why would they do that?
I think that's for TV.
I think that's an old-timey thing.
Yeah.
I've been to about 60 weddings.
Maybe it was when families were like more aligning the families, and like some other people in the family like, we object. But I was just curious. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I don't know that that's actually.
Did they say it at your wedding?
I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember. I've never been married. But I can't remember.
I've never asked that question. I'm not going to introduce that question.
I think because, historically anyone who comes to the wedding stands in support of the marriage. So
if anybody objects.
Right.
I do remember when my sisters got married, the minister said, when they got to that point, he said, I don't know what to do if anybody stands up. I guess I'll just say thank you. Would you leave now?
Duly noted. We're moving on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to officiate though, because you're the MC of the most important moment and one of the most important moment of two people's lives and all their family members. And there's a lot of logistics of a wedding you don't think about until you're the one semi-directing it. And then it's a lot of pressure. But
the most important thing is the bride and groom show up. Everything else is gravy.
Right.
Yep.
Right. But I've had a few curveballs. At my cousin's wedding, one of my cousin's wedding, my sister's phone, like Spotify came on and she couldn't shut it off. It was like,
what was the song?
I don't know, but it was really stupid. And it was very embarrassing. I officiated another cousin's wedding, and his daughter decided to do a dance number up front, and she was probably 2 years old, and it was cool, but distracting. And some people were amused. Some people were like, all right,
there's always something's going to happen that you're going to have to try to smoothly manage and move people past.
I wonder what happens when you try to wed someone named Siri.
Yeah, that's why you have to be everybody. I did, hey Sarah, but
that could be close.
It's close, yeah. I don't know. There were fireworks at the end of mine that surprised us. They had the whole thing planned, and I didn't know. But after
was this
you're now married
later?
It was right at the end of the ceremony. It was so spectacular. The kiss that we had, most people probably didn't notice the fireworks. But
I did not see it.
Yeah, see, it was
I was way more focused on the kiss.
I figured, yeah. It was. I
always feel weird watching the kiss. I'm like, I think this is a you thing. I don't know that this needs to be a me thing.
But yeah, there were fireworks that went off. So there were surprises there too. So, all right. Well, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. We'll have Chris back in 2 weeks. Episode 200 is going to be 2 weeks from now. So we will we'll get a full postmortem on the wedding at that point. We're at the point in the show where we catch up on anything we forgot, final thoughts, how to follow people. We'll start with producer Zach and work our way around the room.
I'll do 2 normal ones. I'll do L and K, get some beef because it's grilling season, even if it was snowing when I showed up today. And then my cousin's got Beehive Body Company. She does like soaps and stuff. And so leading into Easter, she usually will come up with some fun stuff. And if you're eager to get back to reality and you want to travel and you want to fly, she sells shampoo and conditioner that is in bar form, which means you can pack your whole suitcase full of it and TSA won't care.
It is so good too.
And it works.
It's the best stuff.
And
We got the bougie beach in the bathroom upstairs. That's my hand wash.
That and the sugar scrubs are great. The sugar scrub and the bar soaps and stuff. Yeah, you can have like your shampoo and it works. Like was skeptical, but the shampoo like lathers up real well.
I've done the shampoo bar. I was looking during COVID. I was looking for a conditioner, but it was hard to find.
They have conditioner bars too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she does both.
I had to use apple cider vinegar. Don't do that.
And she'll ship.
It
or she
hurts
does,
your eyeballs.
If you're ever passing through Mount Summit, she does contactless pickup. She just throws it in a bag and tells you it's on the shelf.
Betsy, final thoughts?
Wow, I love hearing about Beehive Body because it's one of my favorite businesses in the world, but also in Henry County. And Mary and Crunchy and Jenny are amazing. This has been really fun. I usually come in and I feel like it's just me and you guys. And well, last time it was Stacey Guffey, but I liked this. This was fun. So I'm glad we all got to do it. No, I feel like I've talked a lot. If people are interested in HB 1381, I would say there's please keep an eye on it. Please contact your legislators. Please look, keep track of the Senate Utilities Committee. If you're interested in the group Hoosiers for Home Rule, they're at Facebook, Hoosiers for Home Rule, website, same name. And they're also on Twitter at Save Home Rule. And they are soliciting donations for those who might be inclined to donate towards their legal efforts.
So Henry County does have two senators. It's Gene Lysing, who represents the bottom 2/3 of the county.
That's right.
And Mike Gaskell represents the top third. But if you just call their office and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from Henry County, it's kind of like you have two senators. So you have two that might listen to you.
That's exactly right. And Jean is on
she
the
sits
committee.
she sits on the utilities
Please,
committee.
please feel free to reach out to Senator Lysing and give her your thoughts. Senator Gaskell too, and he's already come out pretty strong against it. I don't know how Jean's feeling about it, but I know she's always receptive to constituents. So definitely reach out. It's so easy to make a call or send an email. It's calling is better.
Thank you, Betsy. Anything from Bobby?
Well,
Commissioner Plummer.
Commissioner Plummer. Please don't be so formal.
That's what. If I see you in Kroger, that's what you're getting from me.
Please no. I'm I actually.
She'll just keep walking. Yeah, she's over there.
I'll have my mask on. You won't recognize me.
Put that in.
Actually,
the
somebody
AirPods
did
in.
come up after a meeting and they're like, Commissioner Plummer. And I'm like, oh no, please,
Oh,
Bobby.
Commissioner. Yeah.
And then
Those are my parents.
Then she talked to me on she called me on the phone. She's like, Commissioner Plummer, how are you today? I'm like, oh no, please, it's Bobby. I appreciate you guys having us on tonight. The hour and a half or however long, 2 hours. It's gone pretty quick.
We're going for the record.
It's different when the lights are on. You think it's still daylight out, although it may still
The bright lights,
daylight.
a boss hog in
Yeah,
here. Yes.
yeah. So I enjoyed it. Again, HB 1381. Not good for the county. Again, reach out if you have any questions on solar. Please reach out to me. My phone number is on the Henry County website. So you can call, leave a message. It'll direct you to my cell phone as well. Give me a call.
Very nice. Thank you for being here.
Give me a call for anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you want to talk to me about.
83%.
Hey, that's council, not commissioner. I'm staying in my lane.
I got those calls, believe me. Hey, but I got you with the assessor.
I know, yes. And she said, oh, your quarrel's not with me, it's with council. I said, I know. They sent me here. Susan, thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anything to pitch? Anything fun? Anything we missed?
No, thanks for having me. And our email and phone numbers are on the county website if you want to get a hold of me for any reason. Love to hear from everybody.
Awesome.
Thanks.
It's been our pleasure to have you guys here.
Been fun.
Always an open door for our elected or not quite yet elected officials. So we try to make sure we include everybody in the conversation.
I will give Representative Saunders a plug. Every time I have to speak in public, he runs through my mind because he is so comfortable and good. He can just get up and speak about anything. And I always tell him that my goal is to be like him. To be able to speak about anything and be so comfortable at it.
He's been a very good friend of this show in the existence of it.
Yes.
And a very good representative of the county.
He sure
very
has
good.
been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jesse Riddle, anything we need to clean up?
No. Ready to get out of here. It's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. There's probably like 6 inches of snow
I haven't
outside.
eaten.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
And it's
that.
Newcastle, so it's like there's nothing.
Everything's
open
closed now. You're out of luck.
Yeah.
You got to go to Indy. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you all very much. Remember, we are off next week. It's probably going to be April's Fool's joke against me, but Chris Guffey has promised a great return for episode 200. Going to be an all-star cast. All your favorite voices from the Boss Hog 200 episodes are supposed to be coming back through, so we'll see y'all then.
Do you need an escape from the average, predictable, stressful environment you can't pull your head out of? Subscribe to On the Run with Remzo W. Martinez. From discovering how to take bold steps to become freer sooner than later, to obscure and wild topics sure to expand your view of the world, twice a week you'll go on an audio adventure where you'll think hard and laugh harder. Listen to On the Run with Remzo W. Martinez, part of the We Are Libertarians Network.
We Are Libertarians Plus members enjoy many benefits like exclusive bonus shows like Build the Wall and Ideological Origins, lifetime access to my exclusive private newsletter at chrisspangle.com, early release of episodes with commercial-free shows, and a full feed of the show with 700 more episodes than you can find in the public feed. You'll also get merch and the opportunity to be a guest on the show. Most importantly, Wall Plus members support a new generation of opinion journalists by bringing an independent libertarian perspective to the news. Enjoy these benefits immediately by visiting joinwallplus.com.